A Peace Built on Quicksand, a Flawed Peace, 1919. In context, focus, peace treaties. 1648. The Peace of Westphalia ends Europe's 30 Years' War and establishes the inviolability of sovereign states. 1814-1815. Agreements made at the Congress of Vienna end the Napoleonic Wars and redraw the boundaries of Europe to maintain peace through the balance of power. After 1945. The Potsdam Agreement implements the military occupation of Germany and the division of European territory. 1945. That same year, 50 countries signed the founding charter of the United Nations, a new forum for international peacekeeping. 1947. The Paris peace treaties include war reparations, minority rights, and major territorial changes. When the fighting of World War I finally ceased in November 1918, the terms of peace had to be worked out before the armies could be sent home. On January 18, 1919, leaders of the victorious countries convened for the Paris Peace Conference at the Palace of Versailles. More than 5 months later, they had thrashed out the Treaty of Versailles, subsequently described by most historians as quote, a flawed peace, unquote, because it would contain the seeds of conflict that would lead to World War II. Delegates from many countries attended the conference, but the details were determined by the leaders of the main Allied powers, known as the Big Four. United States President Woodrow Wilson, British Prime Minister David Lloyd George, French Prime Minister George Clemenceau, and Italian Prime Minister Vittorio Orlando. Russia, preoccupied by civil war, didn't attend, and the defeated nations were excluded. In this picture, delegates discussed peace terms at the Palace of Versailles. Around 30 countries were represented at the talks, but the leaders of U.S., Britain, France, and Italy dominated. We shall have to fight another war again in 25 years' time. David Lloyd George. A victor's peace. The Big Four's dominance was both the strength of the treaty and its weakness. It gave these powerful nations a strong interest in keeping to its terms, but it also left excluded countries burning with resentment. Wilson came to the conference armed with a 14-point plan to achieve lasting peace, including an end to secret treaties, a guarantee of free trade, fairness to colonial peoples, and proposals on settling borders and creating new nations according to the principle of self-determination, allowing people with a common ethnic identity to form their own state. The final, and for Wilson crucial, point was to establish a League of Nations, an international body that would protect large and small nations alike from outside aggression. The British, and especially the French, whose country had been partially overrun by German forces during the war, wanted to make Germany pay for the catastrophe of the war and strip it of its ability to make war in the future. In exchange for a British and French agreement to the League of Nations, Will accepted a war guilt clause blaming Germany for the war. Germany was punished with large financial reparations, and France took control of a key industrial region in Saarland. The German army was reduced and Rhineland was demilitarized. Effects of the treaty. Germany's new leaders, elected after the abdication of the Kaiser, had no option but to accept the treaty, but many Germans blamed them for the economic disasters that subsequently overtook the country. The resulting hardships helped pave the way for the rise of Adolf Hitler. Ticking time bomb though it was, the Treaty of Versailles had some positive aspects, allowing people to resume their lives in peace. Some new European states, including Czechoslovakia, were created in an attempt to reflect national self-determination. But the Middle East and Africa were later carved up between the great powers with no regard for what their people wanted, leaving a legacy of conflict still raging today. The League of Nations created a framework for dealing with international tensions, but it lacked any military backing. An effective body for conflict resolution did not emerge until the United Nations was set up after World War II.